It's been 10 years since Emma last heard her father's voice. 10 years since she slammed that door, blocked the numbers, and told herself that silence was peace. In her small apartment, morning light spills across untouched mail, a mug of cold coffee, and a single letter she never opened. She tells herself she's fine. Her life is orderly, quiet, successful. But silence has its own sound, one that hums at the edge of every moment. Today, the hum feels louder. As she scrolls through her phone, her mother's old contact name still sits in the blocked list. Her thumb hovers over it for half a second and retreats. The letter remains on the table, unread, like everything else between them. Emma's world is functional, efficient. She works from home, eats alone, sleeps early. Friends drift in and out. She lets them, afraid of permanence. The walls are her safety net, her fortress. But even inside it, fragments of the past intrude. A voicemail she can't bring herself to delete. A holiday card forwarded from an old address. Every reminder of them feels like an accusation. She tells herself that she cut them off because they deserved it. But deep down, the story is more complicated, one she refuses to retell. At night, the silence grows louder. She dreams of her father's voice, sharp, disappointed, echoing down a hallway that never ends. She wakes in the dark, unsure if she's angry or afraid. There's a part of her that still expects a message even now. But 10 years of silence teaches you something cruel. Love doesn't always announce its return. Morning again, routine again. The world outside moves on. Birthdays, weddings, new lives. While hers circles the same orbit. In the quiet of another breakfast, she replays the argument in her head. His voice raised, hers louder. The words they both can't take back. She thought time would heal it. It didn't. It only buried it deeper. Outside, snow begins to fall. First of the season. Emma stands by the window, mug in hand, watching flakes spiral down. 10 years since she saw snow in her hometown. 10 years since her father built that last fire for her before she left. For the first time in a decade, she feels something fragile stir. Not forgiveness, not yet. Just the ache of what used to be. Distance is strange. It doesn't just measure miles. It measures how long two hearts can beat without recognizing each other. Emma tells herself she's moved on, but every Sunday, at 9 a.m. she still glances at her phone, the exact time her mother used to call. She scrolls through her feed, sees families laughing, parents aging, children growing, and for a moment she feels the years she's missed, not as numbers but as ghosts walking beside her. She's 33 now, but part of her is still 16, standing in that driveway, shouting words that froze in winter air. Flashback. The camera drifts into memory, the Clark family home 10 years earlier. The air thick with the smell of rain. 16-year-old Emma stands at the doorway, backpack slung over her shoulder. Her father's voice cuts through the kitchen like thunder. Words collide. Blame. Disappointment. Fear disguised as anger. Her mother stands between them, trembling hands pressed together. It's not one fight. It's years of silence finally finding a voice. And when Emma steps outside, slamming the door behind her, she doesn't know she's closing it for a decade. Back in the present, Emma sits on a park bench, watching fathers push their children on swings. She can't help but count the years. How old she'd been when they stopped talking. How old he'd be now. 10 years feels like a lifetime until you realize how quickly a lifetime passes. She wonders if he's changed. If he still gets angry when words fail him. Or if silence has become his only language too. Thomas, miles away, sits in his old workshop. The same place where he once built Emma's treehouse. Now it's just sawdust and silence. He runs a hand across the workbench, tracing the grooves he carved years ago. There's a small wooden bird he never finished. The one she started painting before she left. He picks it up, turns it over, and for the first time in years whispers her name. That night, Emma dreams again. This time the dream isn't of shouting. It's of her father, laughing as he lifts her toward the treehouse ladder. She's small again, safe again. When she wakes, her pillow is wet. 10 years vanish for a heartbeat, and she feels the pull, that invisible thread that no silence can truly sever. She sits up, reaches for her phone, opens the blocked list, and stares. The name Mom waits there, patient, like forgiveness itself. Thomas had always believed there would be time. Time to apologize, time to explain, time to make it right. But time, he's learning, runs out in whispers, not crashes. The doctor's voice fades after the word serious. He nods, pretending to understand. When he steps outside, the world is painfully ordinary. Sunlight, laughter, life continuing as though nothing has changed. He sits on a bench outside the hospital, stares at his trembling hands, and realizes he's waited too long to say sorry. That night, Thomas sits in his workshop, the one place that still feels like his own language. The camera lingers on his face as he looks at the unfinished wooden bird. Emma began painting at 16. He whispers almost to the air. She liked this color. The words shake as they leave him. Then, with slow resolve, he reaches for a new piece of wood, older, rougher, and begins to build something. His hands remember what his heart forgot, how to create instead of destroy. Days turn to weeks. The wooden pieces multiply, planks, nails, rope. It's only when the frame begins to resemble something familiar that his intent becomes clear. He's rebuilding her old treehouse, the one she climbed before their last fight. It's half nostalgia, half confession. Each nail driven in is a word he never said. He films it all on his old camcorder. Unsure why? Maybe so she'll know he tried, even if she never sees it. Martha watches from the porch. She's seen grief turn into stubbornness before, but this feels different, quieter, purer. She doesn't ask questions. She brings him coffee, places it beside him, and touches his shoulder. He looks up briefly, offers a weak smile. For the first time in years, they don't speak of Emma. But her name hums between them, wordless yet deafening. One night, Thomas uploads the first video. The camcorder footage is shaky, grainy, his hands, his voice murmuring, "For her." The title reads, "Building the treehouse again." He doesn't tag it. He doesn't name her. He just hopes that somehow, somewhere, it finds its way to her. In another city, at that same moment, Emma can't sleep. She opens her laptop, scrolling mindlessly through video recommendations. The thumbnail of a man beneath an old oak flashes by. She pauses, heart stalling for no reason she can name. The video spreads quietly, shared by strangers who see only a man rebuilding something lost. They call it a father's redemption. Emma scrolls past it once, then again. The thumbnail stops her. The tree, the grain of the wood, the sound of his voice faint in the background. Her breath catches. She doesn't want it to be him, but some part of her already knows. The internet calls it beautiful. She calls it unbearable. In the next upload, Thomas speaks more than before. "She used to help me with the railing," he says softly to the camera, hammer pausing midair. "Said I never made it straight enough." He chuckles, then stops, overcome by silence. The internet loves him for his gentleness. Emma watches alone, heart racing, unable to look away. 10 years of distance collapse into 6 minutes of shaky footage. Days pass. Emma watches every video. The repairs, the laughter, the mistakes. Each one feels like a message addressed to the girl she used to be. She remembers the smell of sawdust, the scrape of the ladder, the afternoons they spent there before everything changed. She whispers to the empty room, "Why now?" The only reply is the soft whir of her laptop fan. Meanwhile, Thomas keeps building. His steps slower now, his breath heavier. Yet there's peace in the rhythm, the hammering, the wind, the creak of the old tree. Martha films him sometimes, saying nothing. When he's too tired, she finishes the sanding, Two people rebuilding something for a daughter who might never come home. One night, Emma finds the final upload. The roof's done. He's sitting beneath the oak, face tired but content. Almost finished, he says. She used to say this was the best view in the world. He looks up at the treehouse, eyes glistening. Maybe she'll see it again someday. The video ends abruptly. Emma closes her laptop, covers her mouth, and begins to cry. The kind of crying that's been waiting a decade to begin. The drive home feels endless. The radio hums static. She doesn't remember the last time she took this road. Familiar trees line the highway like memories she tried to erase. The GPS voice says the town name aloud. She flinches. Her hands tighten on the wheel. Every mile closer feels like stepping backward in time. She doesn't plan what to say. She just knows she has to see it for herself, to know if it's real, if he's real, if there's still something left between them. When she turns onto her old street, time collapses. The mailbox still leans, the fence still needs painting. She parks by the oak tree. The treehouse stands rebuilt. Complete, beautiful, weathered by forgiveness. She steps out, unable to breathe. It's smaller than she remembered, yet it towers with memory. The wind carries the faint sound of hammering, and then she sees him. He looks up and freezes. The hammer slips from his hand. For a long moment, neither speaks. The years between them collapse into one fragile instant. His lips tremble, searching for words he's forgotten how to use. "Emma," he whispers, the sound barely carrying through the wind. She takes one hesitant step closer. The camera holds the silence, letting it say everything that language cannot. They stand there, two people bound by 10 years of silence, breathing the same air for the first time in forever. He tries to speak again, but words fail him. She looks down, tears tracing the same path they once took in anger. Then, quietly, she says, "You built it." He nods. No excuses, no speeches, just a nod, heavy with everything unsaid. He turns toward the treehouse and gestures gently. "Go ahead," he says, voice breaking. She hesitates, then climbs the wooden ladder, each step creaking like an old heartbeat. At the top, she finds the same initials carved into the beam. E. Dad. She runs her fingers across them, older now, but still legible. Below, he stands looking up, the way he used to when she was little. She smiles through tears. The silence between them has finally changed its shape. It's no longer distance. It's peace. That evening, they sit on the porch. Neither knows how to begin. The cicadas hum, the air warm with memory. Finally, Thomas clears his throat. "I thought I was protecting you," he says. "I didn't know I was pushing you away." Emma looks down at her hands. "You said things I can't forget," she whispers. "And I said things I didn't mean." 10 years of pain folds in on itself, softening into weary honesty. For the first time, they are not father and daughter fighting. They are two people trying to understand each other. He tells her about the diagnosis, how he didn't want her to hear it from anyone else. Her breath catches. She blinks rapidly, refusing tears. "Why didn't you call?" she asks. "I didn't think you'd answer," he replies. The words land like a confession, not an accusation. She finally looks at him, really looks, and sees not the man who hurt her, but the one who's been quietly breaking ever since. Martha steps out with 2 mugs of tea, sensing what words cannot say. She sits beside them, silent, her presence stitching the air between them. "You both were so stubborn," she says softly, smiling through tears. "You loved each other too loudly to listen." The line breaks the tension. They all laugh, small, tired laughs that sound like healing. The silence that follows is not heavy anymore. It's gentle, shared. Later, Thomas walks her to the treehouse again. He pauses at the ladder, hand trembling slightly. "I used to wait under here for you to come down," he says. "Every night after that fight, I thought I'd hear the ladder creak again. Emma touches his shoulder. I didn't know, she whispers. I thought you'd stopped caring. He turns to her, eyes wet, and answers quietly. That was never the truth. Inside the treehouse, they sit side by side, looking out through the small window at the moonlit yard. I thought if I stayed angry, I'd stay safe, she says. But it just kept me alone. He nods slowly. I know, he murmurs. I did the same. A long pause. Then she turns, meeting his eyes. I forgive you, she says. The words are small but unshakable. He exhales, a trembling, grateful sound, and the night feels lighter, as if even the trees have been waiting to breathe again. Weeks pass. The treehouse stands finished, sturdy, sunlit, a monument to reconciliation. Emma visits often, bringing her father breakfast and laughter. They talk about ordinary things now, the weather, the garden, her work. The quiet between them has changed. It feels safe, almost holy. She doesn't say it out loud, but every time she looks at him, she counts the seconds as if memorizing them. Somewhere inside, she knows time is still slipping away. One morning, Martha calls Emma. Her voice trembles through the phone. He's resting now. The world narrows to that single phrase. Emma drives without thinking, heart pounding, wind roaring past the windows. When she arrives, the air inside the house feels still, heavy. She finds him asleep in his chair, sunlight brushing his face. In his hand, a folded note. Later, Emma sits under the oak, the letter open in her lap. His handwriting is shaky but clear. If you're reading this, it means you came back. That's all I ever wanted. Don't let the silence take you again. Fill it with love. Fill it with life. She reads it twice, 3 times, tracing the ink with her fingers. Then she leans back against the tree, closes her eyes, and lets herself cry without shame. A few months later, she returns again, not to mourn, but to remember. She's carrying fresh paint and a small plaque. She climbs the ladder, steady this time, and nails the plaque just below the carved initials. It reads, "Built twice, by love that never left." She steps back, smiling through tears. The camera follows her hand as it lingers on the wood one last time. She stands beneath the tree, eyes lifted toward the branches. The wind moves gently through the leaves, carrying faint echoes of laughter. Hers, younger versions of both. She closes her eyes, smiling. I hear you, she whispers. The camera drifts upward, passing through the tree's canopy into sky, the sound of wind blending into silence, not emptiness, but completion.